Hey everybody, and welcome to Let's Look at Owlboy. This is a hotly anticipated game, and then yet strangely at the same time, a game that you might be saying, why is everybody talking about this? If you're not aware of its context. Owlboy has been in development for like 9 years. It was a game that I was aware of probably around the same time I first became aware of the existence of Fez, like 2 years before Fez even came out, so this has been a long time coming. It's made by D-Pad Studios. It's $25 on Steam in American dollars, $22.49 for its opening week sale, and it is a game that I guess in terms of the sales pitch, I really like a review that I read on the Steam store page, which said there's an alternate reality where Nintendo made a Super Nintendo 2 instead of an N64, and this is like one of the best games on the console. It's like a super high definition, polished, modern take on a 16-bit platformer. So in this case, the defining characteristics of it are definitely this incredibly detailed pixel art with a great sense of scale, high-quality music like orchestral, fully scored and orchestrated music, and novel mechanics as well. I'm gushing a little bit, but I'm not actually in like the 10 out of 10 masterpiece camp necessarily, if only because I think I'm still very much in the early game here at about 45 minutes to an owl in. Hi-yo! 45 minutes to an owl? 45 minutes to an hour. Anyway, we're gonna play a little bit here. Basically, it's very story-driven as well. It's very narrative-based. We are playing as Owlboy, also known as Otis here. He is a creature of sort of unknown origins, at least at this point of the story, who is mute, and he is tasked with defending his village, but unfortunately, there's little small spoilers here, but in the early game, things don't necessarily go absolutely according to plan, and there's some nefarious characters that are stealing relics, and if they get all of the Infinity Stones, then Thanos is going to invade and blow everything up. The other characteristic of Otis that's important, two characteristics, one is that he's looked down upon by his colleagues. He's bullied a little bit, he's treated like a subordinate by his mentors, but then beyond that, he's also mute. So he is actually the literal definition of the silent protagonist, but he is not without friends, and these friends are how we interact with things in the game. We've got this guy, I've forgotten what his name is, but he has a gun, and this gun allows us to actually shoot enemies, which will come in handy as we move here. Think of this almost as like a little bit, I'm gonna talk about it as if it's Mega Man-esque, but it's a little bit more puzzly than Mega Man, a little bit less, segmented levels, and a little bit more kind of open world. It's really like very cave story-ish, but it also reminds me a lot of Super Nintendo and Sega Genesis era platformers like, first off, like Aladdin, obviously, but then The Lion King and Mickey's Magical Forest. You may or may not know what I'm talking about here. So basically the premise of the game is our home village was invaded, and then the pirates mysteriously left. But they took something with them, and now we are going to the Owl Temple, which is where we are right now, to hopefully find some way to deal with them in the future here. So we can interact with things in a number of different ways. One way is by picking things up. We can't pick that guy up, but this shield here up. But we can also grab onto this guy, and we can teleport him back to and from and away from us. So we can use him to actually stand on switches to open doors for us, as well as shoot right now. But we're just gonna drop him, and then I think maybe we can spin that thing off there. If we stand on this will open that door, but it may close as soon as I step away. Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. This time they didn't. It also has a little bit of like, I think you could think of this game sort of as like a Link to the Past. See if we can do a vertical spin here and maybe knock him off. That seemed to cost us some HP as well, though. A little bit like a vertical Link to the Past, really. So there's exploration, but it's exploration in 3 dimensions as opposed to top-down. That doesn't mean that it's 1 dimension better. It just means that it's different here. And we're gonna figure out, you and I, as we play this, what we're actually doing at this point of the game, because this, up to right now, is blind. But certainly, like, up to this point, I've been pretty impressed with Owlboy so far. We talked about it on the Roundtable podcast this week as well, but mostly I'm just amazed that it's out. If you're wondering why I'm not, just shooting at these guys, it's because they got that mask on, and that mask seems to be protecting them. Maybe we can shoot him in the back, but it doesn't appear so let's instead try to land a spin there. I don't think we're getting hit in the process there, but it's kind of hard to tell. There are some, I wouldn't necessarily call it a Metroidvania, but there's incremental improvements that you can get. So, in a game like, I want to differentiate this from a game like Mario, for example, where you know, in Mario, you're Mario for the entirety of the game. Okay, we're gonna have to use that to solve a puzzle. In this, that is definitely not the case. Like, you can get HP improvements as the game goes on, for example, as I've already gotten so far. And that's what the coins are for. You use those to qualify for trinkets, but it's not so much a situation in which you're going to, you know, buy the trinkets. The trinkets are just opened up to you when you hit a certain level. So we can also pick up items in the environment and throw them around. So as soon as you see any regenerating element in a platformer, you're like, okay, we're gonna need that for the future. So we'll put this guy down here. That'll open up that door. And it does seem like the Zelda comparison largely comes in that the game is kind of open world, but then with self-contained pseudo-dungeons that are sort of around it as well. So that's the reason I bring up almost like a Link to the Past comparison, beyond just the detailed pixel art. And I really think that maybe we can drop him and investigate something here, because that is an obstacle I would like to surmount if possible. I wonder if we can throw something through that, or maybe it's just a relic that we actually will not have access to. But I guess we'll see as we get going here. Oh, okay, we actually have a water puzzle here. I had no idea that this actually existed in the game. I do want to talk a little bit about the pixel art, because pixel art, I mean, again, we talked about this on Roundtable, but it's kind of a hot button issue for some people at least. But I tend to agree with what Bear Taffy said on the show, where he said that for pixel art, you know, he's not necessarily a huge fan of it, but only when it's done as kind of like, I guess, a means to an end. When it seems like pixel art is done to just be like, well, you know, we don't really want to make this game 3D, and pixel art is kind of, you know, something that people have shown is something that they're fans of, so we can get away with it. I agree that sometimes it can come across as a little bit overdone. But in Owlboy so far, okay, so those things destroy our clouds. In Owlboy so far, it's almost a little bit more like a Titan Souls situation, where I think it really, really works to the game's advantage. And, you know, it's sort of it's an outlier when it comes to the quality of the art. Not only is the art extremely well done and extremely detailed, but it also has a sense of scale that really, it means that the art direction is good, not just the actual quality of the assets as well. One thing that is a little bit of a, I guess, a bummer, or I misrepresented the game perhaps for myself, you get a lot of treasure chests. You get a lot of collectibles, but all the collectibles, at least thus far in the game, have been exactly the same. So, I mean, you can get plants from the ground. You can throw those plants at enemies, or you can eat them to get some HP back. But it's not like you, at least to this point, I've not, like, found a secret area that gave me a special item. I found a lot of, you know, semi-secret areas, and, oh, that was bad. These secret areas have exclusively given me coins. Now, the coins eventually lead to you getting extra items out of them, but they don't necessarily give you those items directly. So it's kind of like, at first I was like a little bit more excited than maybe I otherwise would have been. I was like, oh, I found what appears to be an extremely rare chest, and then you crack it open and you're like, ooh, coins. Must be a lot of them. But then eventually you're just like, okay, how many coins is this thing gonna give me? You know, it's not like you're like, ooh, something in this chest is gonna blow my mind. It's gonna completely change the game. Let's continue moving around. Okay, you know, incremental difficulty increase here. We are hitting these appropriately. I will say another, I won't call it a complaint necessarily yet, but I have found things relatively easy thus far, but I have a lot of experience playing games like this, and it's still pretty early on. Apparently the game is close to 10 hours long, and being, you know, roughly an hour in at this point, I guess it's not surprising that things are a little bit on the easy side. Maybe you just broke the eggs, Owlboy! You have gone from hero to villain in no time flat. Another hallmark of the game. Cool boss fights, and this feels almost like a Mega Man X style, like, challenge room or something like that, but the boss fights, like, very, very 16-bit, like, golden age of 16-bit-esque. I'm assuming that we're just gonna have to, you know, kill as many of these birds' brothers as we need to do in order to open the door, and this might serve as like a midway point of this dungeon or something like that. I haven't also encountered any puzzles that were absurdly difficult, you know, just stuff like, there's a switch, find a way to get on that switch, and then we've actually unlocked an ability. More coins. We've unlocked an ability that allows us to teleport our friends to us. We'll get more of these throughout the game. But we've unlocked that ability to, excuse me, what is up with this? It's like a little fish pug in a top hat. We've unlocked the ability to teleport that guy to us, so we can actually place him on switches as a weight and then teleport him back to us later. Afternoon, sir. Well, that's it. Interesting. We should eat. I'm not sure if we can actually use these as, like, combo breakers on enemies as well. Like, if they're focused, we can use these to hit them and do some damage. Or at least knock them out of whatever their current pattern is. Let's see if we throw this at this guy. I mean, he's surely, like, slightly displeased about it. It may have done some damage. Continue to move along here. It's a little hard to talk about, to be honest with you, because the game is getting so much effusive praise right now that, you know, I'm wary of just entering into the echo chamber here, if that makes sense. And I also think that there's a very real danger of being like, I've been waiting for this game for 9 years, and maybe it's a little, we should take this cloud with us. It's a little tempting to just be like, okay, we filled that up as much as it'll go. It's a little tempting to be like, this is everything I've ever wanted. I'm not saying that's not necessarily the case. I'm just saying that I'm wary of just being like, this is the best thing that, you know, come out in the past 10 years. That being said, one thing I will say that is, you know, pretty much immutable about Owlboy is that the game has a lot of heart. Like, you're not seeing it because there's not that much dialogue, and the game so far has been, you know, maybe like a 40-60 split of like dialogue and story building versus this kind of like dungeon crawling stuff here. I guess we can't take that up with us. That would have broken the cloud anyway. So the dialogue is really where it becomes clear that the game has a ridiculous amount of heart and tone in particular going along with it. Now, your mileage may vary with respect to the story, but in terms of like, you know, indie game stories, it's kind of, it feels very cave story-esque to me so far. Rich and robust. We have our cloud back, but that'll break it, so we must be able to do something with the cloud down here. Okay, the cloud breaks immediately when we take it across. Oh no, you're not gonna make me puzzle. I refuse to believe that you're gonna make me puzzle. There must be something I'm missing here. Grab the cloud and fill this with water. Grab the cloud. No, we have to just fly past this for now. It would be too fitting for me to complain about it not being difficult enough. Oh, okay. And then, obviously make horrible mistakes that lead to this happening. Okay, so I see it. It's an escort mission. We should probably grab this and then throw it into this right here. Okay. See, I was born at night, but it wasn't last night. If there's, like, any one genre where I want to make myself at least have, like, the slightest bit of AGDQ-esque cred, it would be like 16-bit era platformers. I've beaten the Mega Man without using the Yellow Devil exploit. That might have sounded like it was really racially insensitive. That's the true name of the enemy. Right, we have to grab this ourselves. You know, I've beaten Mega Man's 1 through 5 and then also 9 and 10. This is just another drop in the bucket for me. But it doesn't really, I don't want to misrepresent it and act like this is like, oh, trying to be the Dark Souls of 2D platformers or something ridiculous like that. Rather, it's much more of an adventure game, I suppose, than, yeah, we were probably okay with that. It's much more of an adventure game than it is like, you know, a hardcore mechanics-driven action game. Go through that, you get 3 coins per ring, and we can actually probably, after we finish this dungeon, depending on how long it takes, I'll show you what happens when you, oh, we need another cloud. I'll show you what happens when you, get enough cash to buy another trinket. These are new enemies I've never seen before. Is he gonna jump? I thought it looked like he had a jump animation stored up or something. Oh, he's a fire breather, okay. Again, so far, I haven't really seen anything that makes me question the, oh, we spin to get rid of the fire, or we can probably go into water, I guess. So far, I haven't seen anything that really makes me question the idea that maybe the game's a little too easy so far, but, again, it's still very, very early. And I've eaten crow enough times to not be like, oh, this game's too easy, that's the problem. You know, hardcore, late 20s, early 30s, something like me, we're the millennials who need a little extra challenge. We're not just here to push buttons, man. I'm here to be intellectually stimulated. And then we're like, hey, how do you beat this Candy Crush level? Jennifer, how do you beat this Candy Crush level? Wait, we also needed a cloud. No, I don't think so. Okay, we can probably just go then. And that door is locked behind us, so I guess hopefully we didn't need a cloud, or there would be problems. Oh, there's also one right here. Okay, so there should be like an explosive something coming around here. We'll just backtrack that here. In talking to Nick, it doesn't seem like it's a true Metroidvania in the sense that, you know, it's one level that like loop, or one map that, you know, loops back in on itself in like true Dark Souls 1 fashion. Instead, much more of a traditional like adventure game. Okay, grab this. Sorry, dude, I'm just gonna dump you off here. It is a little weird also how you're like best friends with these characters, but then you, you know, just drop them off in the ocean and you're like, okay, see you later. But at the same time, I think, you know, some level of suspension of disbelief is required if you're not just gonna come across as ridiculously pedantic. So I'm a little wary of that as well. Okay. Wonder what happens. These guys breathe fire. What if you put water on them? It kills them. The fact that that works is a good thing in my books. I always say this, well, I don't always say this, but I say this in videos where I haven't been able to rant endlessly about, you know, what's happening with my, you know, complaints and also praise of a game. But if you ever find me doing a Let's Look At, and I mostly am talking about what I'm doing as opposed to the quality of the game, that's usually a good sign that it's, you know, it hasn't given me a lot to be annoyed about. And if anything, I guess that's the faint praise, or the faintest praise that I would give Owlboy so far, is that it's very likable. It strikes me as being a hard game to, ooh, what's up with that thing? It strikes me as being a hard game to dislike. Does it hit maybe the levels of a game like Shovel Knight? I honestly couldn't quite say yet, but we'll see maybe a little bit more as we progress here. I will say it's definitely up there, and it's definitely easy to recommend. Quite extremely easy to recommend. The only caveat is a little bit on the more expensive side as far as indies go. But this is in the premium indie camp. There will be some people out there, I can you know, guarantee they're in the comments here already, going, I would never pay $25 for a game with pixel art. I think that's, you know, needlessly dismissive, but if that's your prerogative, you know, obviously nothing I say here is going to change that. I guess you got to hit them in their fleshy bits, and then maybe we'll have better odds there. Or we could just go, or maybe we could fill up those pots with water. I'm not sure. We'll discover throughout our progress here. Wait a minute. A dead end. But why? Grab this. There's a puddle. Ah! Who's the loser now? Water the plant. Water the plant! I'm the world's smartest man. I played Botanicula before. If I see a plant, I know the secret. I know you're gonna be watering it. You know, me and the upper millennial... I'm just joking here at this point. Please. I don't want to go through purple vines. Purple vines, purple vines. Purple... Okay, I'm no prince, so let's maybe get some dialogue here. Oh, you know what? This looks like a boss fight. Oh man, gnomes, don't move a muscle. We must have stumbled into their lair. These things are seriously lethal, man. It's like a tonberry. Listen, we have to get out of here. Gnomes may have poor eyesight, but they've got crazy hearing. They can hear you flapping your wings from miles away. Whatever you do, don't try to fly. Stay out of sight and try to climb your way out of here. If you get spotted, run for your life. Don't worry about me. Just remember to teleport me out of here when you get out. Okay, new enemies. Don't flap your wings. And ignore, not ignore, but dodge the vision circles here. Oh, they've spotted me. Maybe we can go around the other way instead? World's greatest. I know what you're thinking. Northern Line, you don't have to pretend that you've never done this section of the game before. You can be honest with us. That's the truth, dog. I've never done this section before. I'm just naturally good at all things involving stealth. the truth comes out. Can probably jump through the background on that one, yeah. And then jump over. Oh, okay, that was probably a little closer than it had to be. I may be a golden god. You just watched me ascend. This is the moment of my coronation. Not a boss fight, but a nice little interim diversion. And actually, that's one of the things I've liked. Oh, God. I didn't want to eat that. I'm just going to get hit anyway. One of the things I've liked about the game so far is that it's not afraid to play with, you know, the genre type as well. Like, it's not just exclusively like, this is a Mega Man style platformer. This is Super Metroid. You know, this is Aladdin. It kind of plays around with being story driven, and it plays around with being mechanics driven at different times as well. For my money, the mechanics, you know, not necessarily as engaging moment to moment as something like Shovel Knight, but the whole package is extremely polished and might aspire to those levels in a different way. You know, Night Trap is no Mega Man 2, but that doesn't mean it's not a masterpiece in its own way. So how are we gonna get up there then? This presents a newfound problem for us. Oh, there's a vent, which means there is probably a cloud. Now, I know from the way that I'm playing this, a bunch of people are probably going to be like, hey, why don't you do a series on it? I don't know if I would right now, just because I feel like we're kind of going to run out pretty quickly of... Ooh, that is a weight. I see the problem here. Okay, so we put the cloud here. And this is where I show my true greatness. We dispense a mine onto this. We grab this. And then in here, there should be like a second cork or something we can take advantage of. But yeah, I don't know if I'd do a series just because, first off, it's a little premature without knowing how I'll actually feel about the game. You know, 1 hour in is sometimes a little different than 10 hours in, especially when it comes to commentary. But maybe it could happen. I'm looking for something, you know, short to play as well. But we'd have to redo this segment as well. But I also feel like, you know, it robs you of some of the magic of playing it through yourself. Platform comes back. Ooh, no rain! Which means we don't actually need a cloud. We can just fly. So I guess that's the gimmick of this dungeon. Not only the gnomes, but the... you know, sections where you cannot fly, and also trying to use those clouds to your advantage. This is way more engaging than the first dungeon, actually, to be honest with you. I imagine this is probably boss fight territory now. I say, how does it look in there? Or should we, I say, how does it look in there? What do you think it looks like? Bah! I thought maybe it looked like Bah. The final impact snapped what was left of her in half. She's bleeding gears out her side, for crying out loud. What nonsense possessed the captain to have us fly through this death trap? Can it? We got more important things to worry about, like how to get out of here. So these are the guys that were part of the invading force in our opening village. So now they've flown into the Owl Temple, and we have found a way. I guess our plan to slow their escape has worked out here, and they've crashed. Where's that gawk pest gone to? It looks like she's carrying us out of here. She won't be able to carry both of us. So what the heck do you want us to do? Flip a coin and... Hey! We got company! A little owl. Why, hello! That kid is wearing an authentic owl cloak. We could use that thing to bust this joint. I guess the owl cloak is what allows us to fly? Or enhances our flying ability? Very well. It seems this is our last option. Sincere apologies, young sir. We'll have to take that cloak off your hands now. Getting the super metal sluggy vibe from this this ship right here. Okay. He's got a parrot that helps him fly, and he's shooting Contra-esque spread shots at us. Now, we don't have a health meter here, so we just have to, you know, use our own intuition for how things are going. But many times the bosses have multiple phases, so you know you're on the right track when you kill the first phase and they change it up. Phew, quite the fight in this one. Have you prepared the turret? She's ready to go. Let's bring down that flying gold nugget. I imagine that's us. Okay, so we still probably want to shoot. Oh, never mind. Trying to think of what we can do here. We could try to deflect it back. Wouldn't be the first time this has ever worked. Come on. Stop trying to watch it hit me. I imagine... Or maybe we can get it to shoot at itself? Or this thing, shoot at this thing. Yeah, that's the ticket right there, okay. So it's cool, like all the boss battles so far, although this is only the second one, have had kind of inventive mechanics, multiple stages. Not just like, hey, you've been fighting big guys. This is a big guy who has like a... Oh, I'm on fire. This is a big guy who has like a particularly large health bar. Like they've all been cool and novel in this fashion here, which is really neat. Now imagine, I was gonna say, those shots are gonna be either faster or there's gonna be more of them maybe. Now, it would be truly sensational. We do have a dodge roll, by the way, which I'm trying to use here to, I would say, poor effect so far. Don't die, don't die, don't die! Oh my god, after complaining that it was a little too easy. Alright. I guess we can eat... I didn't know, actually, until now, that we can overfill our health bar by eating this fruit. I guess purple just means, like, when it's gone, it's gone. And then, ooh, did that actually hurt us? Skip cutscene. Purple means when it's gone, but the yellow stuff is rechargeable. That's really cool, actually. I didn't know that, so that gives us an extra way out here. It's not really a dodge roll so much as it's like a gap creator. So it's probably better to just be smarter with my positioning here, but that's cool. I actually did not know that. So I'm learning things as I go, and I'm learning it, you know, implicitly from the mechanics of the game, which is cool. Let's beat this boss, and I can put a cork in this Owlboy video, because everyone and their, you know, dog by now knows that Owlboy is gonna be, you know, one of the games that makes it onto, like, best of lists and stuff like that when 2016 is over with. I got hit, but our HP is still much better than it used to be. There we go. Now, I will say, the first boss fight, once I got through, or once I sussed out the pattern, which was very quick, that boss fight lasted like, wow, that was bad. Lasted like 45 seconds, so I'm thinking if we got the right way to do things here, this one could be over pretty quick. That's an extremely large piece of rock. I could really go for an extremely, you know, large piece of rock right now. And by piece of rock, I mean pizza rock. That's how we say it in Canada. Arg, the turret is totally busted. I'd say we've been bested. At times like this, it's customary to admit defeat. No bloody chance. That's not the pirate way. I would question whether we even follow the pirate way anymore. Captain Molstrom got us stuck here and is yet to return for us. Are we proudly part of his crew or just pawns in his ruthless plot? What? You dare stab at the captain with your prissy accusations? A real crew of pirates would never abandon each other. I would find deeper pride sailing the winds alone than with an unprincipled band of thugs. The savagery knows no bounds. Why you? You'll pay for your treacherous words. I'll skewer you right where you stand. But then, oh, are we being introduced to the big bad? Are they gonna beat us up? Okay, so this is like our Balrog character, if you've played Cave Story. Or Balrog? You can tell from the jaunty, gestutorial tune in the background here. This guy's all into all sorts of zaniness. I think he might be like a half spider. He imprisoned me and my friend a little earlier in the game. I thought we got rid of you. I mean, help me get out of here. Oh! This guy's working with them, okay. Wait just a minute. You're that troublemaker from Valley. And you're in league with the pirates? You distracted us during the attack on purpose, didn't you? Pirates attack? What are you babbling about? Dirk's my friend. I do what he tells me. You're just jealous because all you got is Featherface over here. That's insulting. Twig, enough squabble. Let's get out of here. Rightio. Jump on and let's go. Told you. Spider-esque. Yo, but they just gave us his other friend. Oh, this must be when we get introduced to like a new power-up. Well, I hope my musket did not leave too many scratches on you. You have remarkable resilience and put up an honorable fight. Please accept my apologies. We were desperate to get through these ruins, you understand, but that does not matter now. I hope we can part without any ill will. Good luck finding your way out of this place. He's not gonna join me? Excuse me? I thought for sure that was gonna be my second, power up here, but maybe not. So we're probably leaving the Owl Temple now, which seems like a reasonable endpoint for an Owlboy video. Oh, I still have hope that we're gonna get him on our side. Long story short, principal strengths of Owlboy: mechanically novel and interesting, incredibly detailed and well done pixel art, even if it's not your thing. Excuse me, sir. But beyond that, a lot of heart and charm as well. And if that goes a long way for you, I think that Owlboy could pretty easily be amongst your favorite games of the year, from my first impressions, at least so far. Those proved to bear out a little bit later. For now, masterpiece or strictly very good. I'm not totally 100% sure yet, but I'm pretty impressed with my time with Owlboy so far. It feels weirdly like playing through a 1990s era Disney film. But in video game form. And if you find yourself with a little nostalgia about that as I do, then you may be interested here. And I really can't express. Musically, it's lovely, visually beautiful as well. Perhaps it could be best if we work together. The pirates will not want me back, and I am free to do as I please. I knew it. I, Alphonse, would be honored to join your crew if you would accept me. Well, you do seem friendlier than the other pirates, and I got a feeling the other guy would have attacked us earlier if it weren't for you. What do you think, Otis? And we just shrug. Alright, I guess we'll take our chances with you, Alphonse. Just don't get too surprised when you get teleported around. Oh my lord. This is my telephone. Just ignore that for now. A gallant and friendly former pirate, loves theater and poetry. Alphonse's shotgun shoots a fire blast that burns trees and damages enemies. It needs to cool down after use. So finally, actually, we get introduced to something that will allow us to... Excuse me? Oh, it needs to recharge, of course. We get introduced to something that allows us to break down these vines. We have to be closer, apparently. That's cool. Does it do well against enemies as well? Seems to do pretty well. Might want to switch back to, like, actual shooter guy a lot of the time, but that's okay. So, I mean, again, we saw those vines throughout, so it's possible. Wow, it's got a great AoE, actually, when it pops off, but it's possible that, like, maybe there's Metroidvania elements, but not necessarily a quote-unquote, quote-unquote true Metroidvania, if that sort of nomenclatural distinction matters to you. When the shotgun blast works, it works, though. And we can just keep it lit and then come through here and get ourselves some free coins. Again, if I'm offering any complaint, it would have been nice if, like, there were actually some items that mattered a little bit, as opposed to just... I mean, you get an item per dungeon, which is fine, but it would have been nice if, like, some of the chests you opened, or some of the secret areas also had items as well, instead of just more coins that you use to get items later. Alright, Alphonse. We have now escaped from this dreadful temple, which is actually awesome, and that probably represents a pretty good time to finish this video. I would have teleported him. You don't need to teleport him I would have teleported him. You can't teleport through stone, are you kidding me? For now, I'm gonna say thank you guys for watching. I totally see where this loops back in. I'm gonna say thank you for watching. This is Owlboy, $25 on Steam, $22.49 US during its opening week sale. If you enjoyed it, enjoyed watching it, it has a recommendation from me and a lot of other people. You can go to Steam. The video description will have a link to the store page if you're interested in picking it up. And of course, subscribe if you want to see more Let's Look Ats. If you enjoyed the episode, click the like button. It helps out a great deal. Of course, thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.